Hello, fellow seekers. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice podcast. My name is Elle, and I return to speak on some spiritual philosophy, link that to the Law of One, and share with you my thoughts, opinions, and life stories on these types of things in hopes of serving you is the idea. So today I wanted to talk about healing. I have a friend right now who is going through some health issues, and obviously he is on my mind, and so I think about ways to help him and ways to communicate with him and to, hopefully serve him. And in that, I have a lot of thoughts that come up, and the whole point of this podcast is just sort of to share with you the way I think in hopes that you understand the way that I apply this type of Law of One philosophy to my life. So, without further ado, let's talk about healing. I'll just explain. So my friend, right, he had a bit of an issue a couple years ago. Something happened where his body is attacking his spine. Clearly there is some sort of issue going on. And the way I understand physical issues they're sort of always born from a metaphysical thing. As I understand it, Ra says the body is a creature of the mind. And I do believe that to be true. I believe that any sort of physical distortion or sickness or disease or whatever it is that we have always sort of starts in the mind first. I mean, yes, we can go into it. There are certain pre-incarnative decisions that you've made to limit yourself, but you don't really know the difference between the two is usually the case. So is it a pre-incarnative decision is the reason why you're sort of sick, or is there also something, or is there something in your mind that needs to sort of be adjusted, accepted, loved, worked, integrated, whatever it is that you would like to call, that is going to allow then the free flow of light to start flowing through you again and offer you ultimate health and healing, etc., etc. So I guess the main thing that I would like to talk about with this one is about how when you attempt to heal somebody, whether you're attempting to heal someone or whether they're just attempting to heal themselves in their own seeking, why would it be that some people don't find healing, right? They remain sick. And I can't say that by the end of this podcast that I'm going to give you a definitive answer, but I'm going to give you a few clues as to what some of the possibilities are. So I will read you, I got a couple of quotes lined up. I'll just sort of read them in reverse order because, well, whatever, it's the way I want to do it. So this is from session 73.19, the raw material Law of One. You can get it at my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, and there's links to the LL research material who provides us all of this for free. Thank you. So this is from 73.19. Ra states, "We might note further that when the one wishing to be healed, though sincere, remains unhealed, as you call this distortion, you may consider pre-incarnative choices, and your more helpful aid to such an entity may be the suggestion that it meditate upon the affirmative uses of whatever limitations it might experience. We would also note that in these cases, the indigo ray workings are often of aid." End of quote. So I will read you a later quote about what healing actually is, but here I want to highlight, I guess, the free will angle of healing. So whenever we are attempting to heal someone, or if someone is attempting to heal themselves, it always comes down to the free will of that person who wants to be healed. You could be the most wonderful healer in the whole universe, and it won't mean squat if the person who you're attempting to serve does not accept the healing. And if they do not accept it, and we'll go into why they may not accept it, but if they do not accept it, the reason I want to sort of share this with you is so that you don't feel so down on yourself in your attempts to serve. Even though when we attempt to serve, we need to release the attachment to the outcome. All that matters is that our intention is set to serve. We try our best, and the free will of the individual, it is, the rest of the equation is up to them. So it states here, you may consider pre-incarnative choices, and your more helpful aid to such an entity may be the suggestion that it meditate upon the affirmative uses of whatever limitations it is experiencing. So, like I said, if somebody's not finding healing, it, to my understanding, could be that, well, maybe the healing path is a little longer than you anticipated, right? Sometimes we want things to be real fast and quick. Sometimes that's not the case. But there's another portion here where sometimes I would consider it that a soul has come into this earth, incarnated in their third density body, and they have a series of lessons to learn. Their free will is paramount. However, their higher self, which is basically you and your soul, is your higher self, if you will, who just has more knowledge, is more connected to the universe than sort of you, who right now, who seems to be in the unknowing of things, right? So if you in your third density body on this earth are using your free will and you're sort of going around your lessons, and it seems that, your higher self, as patient as it is, can kind of see that you're not gearing yourself towards learning the lessons that you've incarnated to learn. Well, there are certain limiting factors that the higher self has built into the incarnation. This is just my understanding based on what I've been told from the raw material. So, the higher self can basically put some sort of limiting factor on you, whether it be a health thing or really physical thing or really whatever. It's just some sort of catalyst will be triggered in you. And that is for a reason. It's not just because the universe is rude and hates you and wants to see you suffer. It's because you came here to learn some things, and believe it or not, there's going to be something with love and wisdom and the balance between those two, whether you suck at giving love or receiving love or whatever it is. These are the types of things that the lessons are going to revolve around. So I want to highlight what is healing, right? It is basically, like I said, it's such a free will thing. And it very much has to do with, we talk about chakras and things like this. It's just there's energy from the creator and from the universe that flows through your body. The nature of the universe, in my understanding, is kind of electric in that way, in that there's energy moving everywhere. And the energy moves through your body. And as it moves through your body, it moves through your chakras. And you color and distort the energy as it flows through those portions of you. So what can happen is if you basically, one of your chakras is too distorted, it's basically like outside of harmony of what is, if that makes sense. It will lead to blockage, and blockage leads to distortion, and blockage will create like a flow, like when there's a backflow of water, there's a river running. If you get a block in the river's going to make a dam. It's going to overflow, and you're going to flood everything, and there's going to be some damage, right? So here's the idea with your chakras. You create distortion in your mind, right, in your life, then the energy coming through you doesn't have a place to go, at least let's say a productive place to go. So it goes to the places that it can, I suppose the places of least resistance, which is going to be wherever you've created the blockages in yourself. So as you create these blockages, they will manifest in your life as certain sorts of sicknesses, ill health, whatever, even in the mind. It doesn't have to be always so physical. Basically, the body is a creature of the mind. So the more you ignore the going-ons of your mind, the more that, there's going to be distortions offered to the body in hopes that you no longer can ignore them. So I'm going to read you this quote here, which kind of gives you the old fancy talk about what healing is. So Ross says in session 4.20, they say, quote, "One of the primal distortions of the law of one is that of healing. Healing occurs when a mind-body-spirit complex realizes deep within itself the law of one. That is, that there is no disharmony, no imperfection, that all is complete and whole and perfect. Thus, the intelligent infinity within this mind-body-spirit complex reforms the illusion of the body, mind, or spirit to a form congruent with the law of one. The healer acts as an energizer or catalyst for this completely individual process. One item which may be of interest is that a healer asking to learn must take the distortion understood as responsibility for that ask receiving, thus healing. This is an honor duty which must be carefully considered in free will before asking." End of quote. So that last paragraph gets a little bit off topic, but I will back it up here to what is healing, right? So healing occurs when a mind-body-spirit complex realizes deep within itself the law of one. That is, there is no disharmony, no imperfection, all is complete, whole, and perfect. In other words, when you realize within yourself that all is well, the universe is a complicated place, a series of illusions of separation, which are very convincing. But the truth of the matter is that we are all one. We are all a unified creation of one. We are brothers and sisters of sorrow. I love you. We love each other. There's just a series of different entities of going around the universe, just interacting with love in various ways. And so that's what you are. And when you realize that you are love and that there is no there's no necessary it's not necessary to fight everything in your life. You need to accept things in your life, because as you accept them, you grow and you learn, and then the other things which don't serve you can fall away. This is sort of the idea of unity. But furthermore, if you have that realization, not just a, like a conscious realization, like a deep, deep realization that, oh wow, all is one. Like, obviously it has to be, generally, in my opinion, something profound, right? Like, so the healing that somebody may offer somebody else might seem very profound, so that then the person being healed can accept that something profound has happened to them that allowed them to be healed. There's a lot of free will tricks going on with the mind. Like, sort of like, you have to sometimes, like, I've heard of psychic surgery. If you've ever heard of this, I don't know. I haven't really gone down that path so far as to examine too much of it. But when I do look into it, like, the idea is they say there's some issue with your body, there's some tumor or something growing. The psychic surgeon allegedly can go in and like take it out, without like physical tools. But then when the people who go through this process describe it, there still is blood and things like that. And so why would that be? Why would there need to be blood and a big show of things so that the person to be healed can be healed, when there really isn't any physical thing necessarily taking place? Well, in my opinion, it's because it's for the mind. It's for the person being healed to see that whatever is happening is profound and is something true that's actually happening, right? That, like, oh my gosh, there's blood. Wow, they must be really doing something. That allows the mind to accept that this is a possible healing technique that's taking place with them. So, I mean, whatever, right? You don't even have to go so far as to be woo-woo spiritual. Doctors are healers. Like, just because they don't know it doesn't mean they ain't that. So you go to a doctor, right? Whether it be a spiritual doctor or your standard doctor that you go to, they are all offering you healing in various types of ways, and it really is up to the free will of you to accept their healing. Now, obviously, there will be different intentions in terms of different types of people who are trying to heal you, so we can't say that all of them are going to be the same. But say you did have somebody who had very good intentions to heal you, and it was like a doctor, right? Well, even though they are doing physical things to you, offering you surgery or whatever it might be, those are physical things. But your sickness and your illness can always just return right after they do whatever they do to you, right? It still requires you to accept that, hey, whatever just happened to me is healing and has helped me, and I'm going to now move forward from this. So, I guess I just wanted to share that, like, this is sort of a mental game. And then I suppose, even when it's not, like, you don't want to blame yourself or the other person for remaining sick, right? Like, I had sort of almost like a deep fear in my life that one day I might get sick and that I can't see the distortion within my mind and able to sort of heal myself. It is somewhat of a fear that I have. So I notice it even in other people, that obviously I want them to do well and to heal themselves and to be a good, healthy living person. But then I see them continually struggle, and so I just have to remind myself that, first of all, patience. Maybe healing isn't always miraculous overnight healing. Sometimes it's a process. Like, sometimes it took us a long time to get into a disharmonious state, which allowed the body to enter that sort of ill health stage. And so it may take a considerable amount of time to also get out of it. But at the same time, I'll contradict myself, you can also be healed in an absolute moment. An absolute moment, a satori of revelation of whatever it is. It's my understanding that if it is a profound, true reconfiguration within the consciousness, then the body can reconfigure itself to reflect that inner state of harmony and that inner state of healing and consciousness which took place. So then I guess shouldn't just leave that last quote out. If I read it, we should probably mention something about it. So they say that here, one item which may be of interest is that A healer asking to learn must take the distortion understood as responsibility for that ask receiving, thus healing. This is an honor duty and must be carefully considered a free will before asking. So if you're ever, the way I read this is, if you're ever to want to be a healer, right? When you first read these materials at first, often you will find your ego says, yeah, I want to heal everyone. I want to be like that Jesus guy and like totally like go out and show the world that, this is just an illusion and that, we want to offer health and love to people. I remember my thoughts in that at the beginning of this, and now I realize very much the free will portion is larger than I anticipated, and a lot of people don't want healing. so I don't know, fair warning. I didn't really explain the last paragraph. So they're just stating here that if you are seeking to be a healer, you must heal, right? You must offer that healing. You can't seek this information of healing and then not put it to use, may be the warning. Now, that doesn't mean that just because you listen to this podcast that you now need to go out and attempt to heal other people. No, it just means more so, in my opinion, that if you are wanting to come into this knowledge, that then you take responsibility for it, right? Like I just told you that a lot of this healing has to do with self. So now, are you going to go out to the world and put all your issues and ill health on the world and say, this is your fault? Or are you going to look within yourself and say, hey, if I'm going to expect this of other people, I need to expect this of myself. I need to put responsibility on myself for the internal healing that is my life and is really everyone's life lessons seem to be that of seeking. And actually, I should state here, comes to mind, Ra states that, seeking the law of one is just another way of saying that you're healing, right? We are all distorted beings, somewhat removed from the Creator in an illusion of separation. And as we undistort our beings, we undistort our thoughts, we undistort all the illusions, the crafty illusions that seem to be so convincing. As we undistort them and we realize that they are all the same thing, they are all unity, they are all the Creator, we are all the same, we are all sharing the same energy, which is of the Creator, and that, everyone is the Creator, you're the Creator. Your friend is the Creator. The people you look at, the everything, the computer in your hand, everything is the Creator, my friends. It is just a matter of Creator serving Creator in this illusion in an infinite amount of ways. And so, you may have ill health, or someone else who has ill health, and you may seek to serve them and do well for them and, encourage that. Of course, please encourage that in whatever way that you deem fit to offer them healing or to suggest that they heal. But the big part of this quote here of the original one that I read you is to sort of to state that it's okay if you offer healing in whatever form and it does not sort of manifest in the harmonious, beautiful way that you expected. It is okay. What they suggest that if someone sort of remains in an unhealed state, that you ask them, it says here, you ask them to meditate upon the affirmative uses of whatever their limitations are offering them. So in other words, they're being limited in some way. Ill health is usually you being limited in some way that you weren't limited before. So why is the universe, why is your higher self, why have you decided to give this lesson to yourself? It's usually something to do with love, wisdom. Are you really good at giving love? Well, maybe you suck at receiving love, and therefore you become sick so that other people can give love to you. Right? There's one of the infinite ways. Or maybe you're really good at receiving love. You're wonderful at receiving love from others, but you kind of suck at giving love to others. Well, right, there's vice versa. You can have back and forth of either or. But often when people get sick, it's sometimes they're really good lovers. They're really good servers. They really want to assist in giving freely, but they're not very good at receiving freely. So the incarnative choices of their lives have sort of offered them a sickness so that maybe even, maybe they don't even fully come out of it alive at the end. They pass on, but the end of their life may be that they are in a sort of forced forced situation where they're, such a weak state that all they can do is receive love from others, right? And prior to that, they've spent their whole life. I know somebody like this. Somebody spent their whole life giving love and serving others and just being a selfless individual. But then they sort of passed away from cancer in a slow, sort of degenerative state. And well, sad as that sounds, but it allowed all the people who gave her love during her life to repay that love and to show that, hey, you're a strong, loving individual, but you're sick right now. And, we appreciated you taking care of us previously, and now it's our turn to take care of you. So these are small sort of, I don't know, I just wanted to give you a couple of hints of incarnative lessons. It's usually not overly complicated. It's not like, oh, someone did this, this, and this, and this, and a karma and reverse, and blah, blah, blah. It's just like love, wisdom, balancing those two somewhere between. It's basically some lesson between those two is usually where the majority of our focus is in these lives and the lessons that we are here to learn. And I wanted to mention to you, why did I bring this up? Well, it was because of my friend Jeff. He's having some issues with where he had got COVID a couple of years ago, caused his body to somewhat attack his spine. Now, I would, when I sort of think of my friend there, I think that he's doing quite well. He was not even walking, like a year ago, and now he's working, it seems like, with acceptance and love and like what life is about and just kind of keeping it simple and being grateful. I've noticed that his mind is turned around that way, which in my opinion has led him to, start his health journey, right? He's now able to walk again. He was actually able to go back to work finally. But then it's funny enough, isn't this the way, right? When he goes back to work, they go, hey, well, you know what? Now that you're working, you should be able to afford your therapies, which the government was paying for just prior to that. But then it's like now he's also can't work because it's flaring up again. And so it's like he can't work, so he can't get the money to pay for the therapies. And anyways, I mentioned this in the last podcast. I'm going to throw him $200 from my Patreon. So you guys who are giving to the Patreon, just know that, $200 is going to go his way. So thank you guys for contributing and assisting me and allowing me to be in a place where when I see opportunities for service that I can, take some of that money and channel it where I see fit. So thank you so much for allowing me to be in that opportunity to serve. If anybody wanted to add a little extra onto it, I haven't really, I'm not trying to shame anyone. I haven't got any contributions for it. No problem at all. 200 is going to be, it'll be a good portion for him. But if anyone wanted to add on a few extra bucks, I'm sure it will go a long way with him. And I haven't sent it yet. I planned on kind of sending the 200 maybe in the end of a week or so. So still got a week or two to throw some contributions that way if you want. theinfinitecreator.com. There's a PayPal link. And you can just make a little note saying this is for Jeff, and I will be sure to add it on to the 200 that I plan on giving him. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you appreciate this, give it a like, give it a comment, subscribe to the channel so you can hear future podcasts. If you find value in what I do, you can join the Patreon. It does assist me in paying for my website and just sort of doing all of these little things, which take a lot of time, but right, and it allows me to, I don't have to work overtime, you guys. If you join my Patreon, I don't have to work overtime at my silly little corporate job. I'd much more prefer serving in a manner which I feel is more helpful in spiritual manners such as this. So thank you guys to everyone who does join the Patreon. It gives me more time to do these things and to put my focus in this area of where I feel it is important. So enough rambling for today. Thank you, everyone. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.